LSU Media Relations Director, and I'll kind of help moderate today's discussion. So what we want to do is, the purpose of these is just to give a weekly update where you guys in the media can get some information that you're already asking us for, that we can make the president or other administrators available to easily give you that information, and just give you an update on how the fall semester's going, just how our plans are going, anything that's changing on campus, and any updates that might come up that would be of interest to you. We want to work with you guys and make this as beneficial as possible to you. So please give me some feedback afterwards if there's things we can improve or help out, or just do a little different for the next one, just so you guys get what you need and it works the best for you guys to put your stories out. Today we have Interim President Tom Galligan, who is going to give a brief introduction and then take questions. Also joining us is Chief of Staff Ashley Arsenault in the President's Office, and Vice President of Strategic Communication, Jim Saborin. So there may be opportunities for them to chime in as well if needed. Just wanted to let you guys know they're on the call. And just a little bit of the format. So President Galligan will give a brief introduction, just kind of tell you how things have been going so far this fall. And then we'll open up for questions. So I'll help moderate those. So if you could put in the chat that you have a question, or do the hand raise function, or chat me so I can get you in the queue. And we just want to kind of call on each other so we're not stepping on anyone's toes. And then if you could just introduce yourself and introduce the outlet you're with, it would help President Galligan to know who you are so he can see you on the screen and better answer your question. So we have about 45 minutes scheduled for this. So without further ado, we'll get started, and I'll turn it over to President Galligan.
Thank you, Ernie, very, very much. And welcome to everybody. And thank you for attending. First, I'd like to just start off and let everybody know that our thoughts and our well wishes and our hopes are with all our friends in Southwest Louisiana. Laura was devastating, and we know that they're going through an awful lot. It's hard times. We have many students from that area. We have faculty and staff who have family in that area. So we extend our good thoughts to them and our help. And we have a student emergency support fund. So anyone who is so inspired for students from that area or other places who are in need, we're encouraging gifts to be made to that fund to help affected students. And Ernie, you can share the link with that, or Ashley can. So thank you. Now, campus, LSU. We have, as I think you all know, been working on our return to campus plan literally since we went remote in March. We've worked very, very closely with our emergency coordinators, with our student government, with our faculty and staff senates, and they have been incredibly helpful. So we have a plan, but we will alter that plan as needed, because our guideposts will continue to be the safety of our students, faculty, and staff. The class that we welcomed is one of the largest that we have ever had, one of the most diverse that we have ever had, and one of the most accomplished that we have ever had. We moved in close to 7,000 students to campus. When our final numbers are in, we expect that we will have 33,000 students on campus this year. And when you add faculty and staff, that means that we literally are a city of about 40,000 people. Now, every student, every faculty member, and every staff member was given a mask. As you know, we are expected to wear those masks. I'm alone in my office right now. If I weren't alone in my office, I would be wearing my mask. You're supposed to wear your mask in buildings, in the classroom. Faculty are wearing masks. We've got little footprints on the floor which indicate which way you go into a building or a hall and which way you go out of a building or a hall. We have a daily symptom tracker that everyone is supposed to fill out, and it's a series of questions that you answer. It takes literally 30 seconds. And when you get good at it, it might take 20 seconds. And if you click a symptom, then the symptom tracker will say, don't come to campus today, or recommend that you get a test. Testing. We have significantly ramped up our testing capacity. We are encouraging everyone, faculty, staff, and students, to get tested. Right before I got on this call, I was trying to schedule an appointment for myself to get tested because everybody should get tested. We know that as more people get tested, we're going to see positives. We wish we weren't. We wish that the number was 0, but we know that we will see positives. We have a dashboard on our website, and on the dashboard, we will be reporting those who have tested positive. We'll post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 4 p.m. So we'll be posting in less than an hour. Today, we will post the number of 366 positive cases. Remember, that's faculty, staff, and students. It's self-reported, so either through that symptom tracker or we somehow otherwise find out from a person, so that's a self-reported number. And again, it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We know that's 366, that's as of yesterday, because it takes us 24 hours to go through and scrub the data, make sure there aren't overlaps or double reports. So we know that there'll be positive tests today as a result, and we will continue to monitor. A few things to remember. 55% of our classes are online. So what does that mean? It means our student and faculty population density is less on campus than it normally is. Even with a large student body, the population density is lower. So that's a good thing because it makes it harder to pass the disease. The other thing is, again, we're all wearing our masks, we're washing our hands, and we're encouraging everybody, and I'm sure you're gonna have questions about this, but we are encouraging everybody to do the right thing and do the smart thing. We have isolation space, we have quarantine space for students who can't go home. With anyone, the first thing we would recommend is if you test positive or if you're in a close contact with someone, and you can, go home. But if you can't, we have spaces available for people to isolate and to quarantine. We also get a lot of questions about enforcement mechanisms. We have enforcement mechanisms in place to make sure everybody is doing the things that they have to do to keep us as safe as we possibly can be. But I will say again, I've said it before, but I'll say it again, we're not going to enforce our way through this. We're going to have to embrace it. We're going to have to wear our masks, wash our hands, sneeze and cough into our elbows. The beginning of the year, the beginning of the school year is a really important time, especially in this pandemic. So the next week or so, the next 10 days or so are going to be critical to us. If we do the right things, we'll be here for the semester. If we don't do the right things, then we may well have to alter our plans and go remote again. So with that said, I want to, again, thank everybody for being here, and I'll answer any questions about absolutely anything or seek help from my friends.
Well, not to, far be it for me to correct the president, but I just want to make sure that folks understand that what we're reporting today is 137 new cases since we last reported, bringing the total since August 15th to 366. Just want to make sure everybody understands that.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. And I think we actually learned today that the Board of Regents and LDH may be asking schools to report from the beginning of classes. So if we do that, then that number may well change. So everyone should just stay attuned to that possible change too.
All right, we have a few questions coming in. Scotty Hunter from WAFB has the first question.
All right, yeah, let me just unmute right quick. I just wanted to talk about, we had some videos that people had sent to us about like some parties that were thrown, it looked like off campus. Could the president speak to just kind of his reaction to that and just kind of what you guys are gonna do to try to curb that?
Yeah, we're gonna, I think, Scotty, thank you very much. We're gonna, we've seen the videos too, that people have sent them to us too. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna investigate, we're gonna communicate, and as necessary, if it's a student organization and a student event, we'll enforce. And so I can tell you right now, we have 4 student organizations that are in the conduct process. That means that they've been charged with some sort of violation of our code of conduct. We have 3 or 4 ongoing investigations into allegations of organizational misconduct. And currently we have 2 students who are moving through the process as well. And again, what I would do most basically is say, please don't do it. Over 50, the governor says no, don't go over 50. And if you're a group of 30, wear the mask. You take it off to eat something, take it off to drink something, but otherwise wear the mask, please.
I guess, are you able to identify those organizations, and are you able to say if it's Greek life related?
I can't. I think I can safely say it's not exclusively Greek life related.
All right, we have a question from BR Proud News as well.
Yes. No, but there is a concern about anybody not reporting. We are asking everybody to report all positive cases. So that's an expectation of our students, of our faculty, and our staff. So I answered no because I have not heard it connected to a normal football season, but certainly I've heard people say, is everybody reporting? I hope so. And again, related to the answer to Scotty's question, to not report is misconduct. And I would say, Abby, by definition, it's not going to be a normal football season. Well, first, it's a developmental process in which the student has the right and the ability to explain themselves and to say what happened. So then there are various sanctions, and our student development folks, there are charts and matrices of how serious the misconduct is, what the appropriate sanction is, and what can happen as a result. Loss of privileges, community service, all the way up potentially to expulsion.
And we can send out, this Code of Student Conduct follows our processes for those for any kind of sanctions and violations of the code. So we can make sure and get those links to you guys just so you can see. Next up, we have WBRZ, Johnston.
All right, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
All right, Johnston Von Springer, I'm WBRZ Channel 2. Obviously, you gave us the latest update since Monday's update of positive cases. With all the testing going on campus, do you know how many tests in that time or so far have been conducted, whether it be the rapid or the normal several-day process? How many tests of faculty, staff, and students have been completed?
Yeah, we have tested 3. I'm going to need some help on the exact numbers, Johnston, but we have basically 4 sources of testing information that we're getting. And we've got to put all that data together. So what are the 4 sources? Number 1 is the Student Health Center. Number 2 is the state, because we've got state sites on campus doing testing. Number 3 is we've contracted with a private tester, Relief Telemed, and they've got multiple sites on campus. And number 4 is anybody else who self-reports. So if I go to one of the quick test places and I test positive, then I have the data from there. Also, and I don't want to get too far into the details, but when I do that symptom tracker in the morning, the first thing it asks me is, hey, have you been tested in the past 10 days? And so you get if I have been tested in the past 10 days, then I get a yes, no matter what source I've been coming from. So we've got that source of data as well. And I don't know if we know the numbers of test totals. It's not at our fingertips.
1 second, we'll have it.
Okay. Johnston, I can say this as Ashley looks. We whatever the number is, we wish it were higher.
While we wait for Ashley, I guess I'll go ahead and ask my second question I had, unrelated, somewhat related. Obviously, a few weeks back, it may have been last week or the week before, I kind of lose track. The governor had said, after talking with athletic officials and administration officials, LSU would need a plan for Tiger Stadium roughly 2.5 to 3 weeks in advance. That was his time frame. This Saturday will mark 3 weeks, so expecting a decision sometime soon. Can you kind of, where is that process? Do y'all have information as far as Tiger Stadium capacity, or at least have a plan of when that's going to be released in the coming days?
I think that will be released very, very soon. We have had conversations. We've been having great conversations with our athletic department, with the folks downtown about what their expectations are. It'll ultimately be our plan, obviously. And I would say, Johnston, stay tuned, because you're right. Saturday is 3 weeks out.
So is it safe to say we should hear something, by the end of the work week?
I don't know if it's safe to say, but that would sure make me happy.
All right, next up, the person signed in is KCURTH.
Yeah, that's me. Kimberly Kurth with Fox 8 News in New Orleans. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can, Kimberly.
All right, thank you. So you mentioned isolation space earlier. Can you tell us how many students, faculty, and staff are under quarantine and how that process happens?
I can. We have, and again, I'll look to somebody else to get the precise numbers, but if somebody tests positive and they can go home, then they will go home. And I think anecdotally right now, the at least the plurality, if not the majority of folks who have tested positive have gone home. If not, they will be moved to space where they are isolated, and isolation equals I've tested positive. In the quarantine option, quarantine is I've come in close contact. Again, if you can, go home. But if you can't, we've got space on campus, we've got space off campus, and we also are investigating sheltering in place, because in a lot of ways, that's probably the most comfortable experience for the student. If the student doesn't have to leave where they are, then they're in their room for the period we bring them food, etc. The Southwest Louisiana situation has made it harder to get hotel rooms in Baton Rouge, probably in New Orleans as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up we have JC from Louisiana Illuminator.
While JC signs on, Johnston.
You guys hear me?
Yes, 2 seconds. Let me go back to, okay, JC, go ahead, and then we'll get back to Johnston in a minute.
Oh, did you guys, all right, so, yeah, I was wondering if on the dashboard reports, will you guys also be reporting the number of students quarantining along with positive cases?
We haven't been doing that yet. We're actually talking about it as we speak. JC, what we decided was, we said, let's get out the most basic information first. And then as we manage our data and learn more about data, what else can we report? But we have not yet.
Okay. Do you plan on in the future?
We're discussing it now.
Gotcha. And I know you also said too that the Southwest the hurricane situation made it harder to get hotel rooms for students who may quarantine or isolate. Do you see that as like an option though when those sorts of issues are resolved?
We do, although we're learning that other schools are doing sheltering in place quarantining, and if that works, and I think that would work, to me that would be the preferable option. But certainly, as hotel rooms become available, we will look to that option as well.
Thanks.
Thank you, Johnston.
Yes, sir.
We have had 1,376 tests conducted on campus. We want to see that number rise. And with all told, this is, again, remember, self-reports, we have 3,544 tests.
So that dates back to the 15th of August.
I believe that dates back to the 15th.
So with all those four sources, you gave 3,544, and then specifically on campus, 1,376.
Correct. And which, if we do the math, that's about 2,200 that were self-reports. And so again, we're encouraging people, make sure when you do that symptom tracker, let us know if you have a test, because we want to know who's got a test that's positive, but we also want to know who's got a test that's negative.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, next, P. Dudley was asking about students under quarantine. Was that question answered, P. Dudley, or do you have more? Are you there? President Galligan, he was asking how many students are under quarantine. I think you touched on that a little bit. Is there anything else you'd like to say on that one?
No, I did. I think we were going to look for some numbers.
Yeah, to get the update.
Yeah.
All right, well, the next one is from Mark Ballard at Our Advocate newspaper. He's asking about the positive cases. Are they clustered? So Mark, do you have anything you want to add to ask your question?
No, that's pretty much, are they clustered in any of the dorms or any of the locations? If so, which ones?
Yeah, Mark, I'm not going to tell you which ones, but I am going to tell you that we have seen numbers in certain of the residence halls. And so what we do when we see that is what we're saying to everybody on, let's say we have 2 people on a floor. We're saying, okay, to everybody on the floor, please go get tested. And I will say, if those people don't go get tested, if the numbers aren't good, then our next step will be, it won't be please go get tested. It'll be, you're on this floor, you have to go get tested. So I think we've probably seen, gosh, Mark, 6 or 7 with somebody on a floor, 2 people on a floor. And so that's the strategy that we're employing in that regard in those residence halls.
If I might follow up, are we going to go to required testing as many of the universities have done?
I would not rule it out. In the Southeast Conference, we know Alabama is requiring testing and Vanderbilt is requiring testing. And we're looking at what other schools are doing. They're not, but again, if we don't get more people going to get tested, we will definitely look to go down the mandatory testing route.
All right, Scotty Hunter from Channel 9 has a follow-up asking about if people are encouraged to test more than once, and if so, how frequently?
Yeah, first things first. First, we're trying to get them to test once. Thereafter, if they're symptomatic, if they don't feel well, then they should go back and get tested again. But first things first is go get tested.
Yep. Anybody else? The floor is open if you have a question or a follow-up for President Galligan.
Yeah, and I'll jump in and amend myself. I mentioned the 4 sources that we have. We also have capacity in our vet school to do some testing, and we may be availing ourselves of that in the future. And we have 1 lab already, and we're actually going to roll out another one starting probably sometime in September.
I have a follow-up question, if that's okay.
Yes.
How would you, considering we're seeing positive cases at campuses across the country, what are your thoughts on LSU's numbers right now? Were you expecting more, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm not shocked. We knew there would be positive tests. We look at the number and we think we're a community of 40,000 people. That said, I'm concerned, and I'm monitoring, and we're looking at it very, very carefully, because if it keeps going up, we're going to go remote. So what we need to see is we need to see the number sort of level off. What we'll also start to get is we'll start to get data on, okay, 10 days. What have we seen in the last 10 days? So we'll be up, but we're not there yet because we haven't been 10 days. So we'll start to see that, and that'll be useful information as well.
Do you have a threshold for which you decide we are going to go remote?
No, we have no single number defines whether or not we'll go remote, but we've got multi-factors that we're looking at: student and faculty positives, faculty and staff absenteeism, capacity to isolate, capacity to quarantine, which again, if we can do it in place, increases that capacity. What's the spread in the area? Hospital capacity in the area. I mean, East Baton Rouge Parish continues to be one of the places where the numbers are higher than in some other parts of the state.
And one last question for you, and forgive me if you already mentioned this, but did we get an exact number on how many students and faculty and staff are quarantined? We don't.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think we're still looking for that one.
I can give us that right now. We have, let's see, we have 36 in quarantine. This is just students only, right? So the 36 in quarantine and 46 in isolation.
Thank you, Ashley. Also, remember, everybody is being asked to fill out that symptom tracker, whether they're coming to campus or not.
So we had a question in the chat about that, so we answered there. But yeah, on campus or not, we want you to please fill out the tracker and report your symptoms. I think Johnston had a follow-up question from Channel 2.
Yeah, two-parter, I guess. And I think you already answered this, so if you did, I apologize. What is the difference between quarantine and isolation as far as for y'all's records, I guess?
Yes, isolation is when a person has tested positive, they have to isolate, and they have to isolate until their symptoms have been abated for 10 days. So that's isolation. Quarantine is, I'm not positive, but I have been in close contact with someone who is positive. And so I have to quarantine for 14 days. And certainly we want those people who are quarantined, we want to get them tested while they're quarantined. So those are the sort of terms of art as I've learned them, the difference between isolation and quarantine.
Thank you. Second part, I'm going to go back to what I asked, what we talked about at the beginning. As it relates to football, it's a thing a lot of people are talking about as we have now entered September. This normally would have been game week, obviously, since changed. A lot of the SEC schools that have come out in the past weeks with their plans hover in that 20 to 25% range of capacity. I mean, there's a few lower, but that's really the crux. And then even a handful saying no tailgating. Is 20-25% somewhere between that? Is that realistic for us here at LSU? And then